Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Dad Club podcast. You're here with Travis Jones and Jason Barrett. Jace, how you doing today, buddy?
I am doing better than I was yesterday, which is, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? Is that your trajectory is heading in an upward direction. That's the good thing about, I'm not going to say the good thing, but the thing about acute injuries, when you hurt yourself, it's like, yeah, it sucks for a day. And it's like that one day, all right, I've gone backwards, but then you just have that as your reset point. And then you're like, whoa, next day, I feel better than I did yesterday. Next day, I feel better than I did yesterday in general. So just, it tends to just kind of keep getting better from here. So, I'm doing better. I'm moving around better. I'm able to be here on the podcast, which is great. how are you, Trav?
I'm pretty good, man. I think I'm dealing with my own little injury. It's not like as bad as yours, but I think I've got a small calf strain. And, for me, if I start running anything faster than about a 5:15 pace, my calf pulls at the moment. So no sprint training for me last week or towards the end of last week when I did it, and probably this week and next week, and then back into intervals the week after that. I just need to make sure I'm nursing it because I've got the half marathon next weekend with my wife Olivia and her cousin Gemma, or my cousin, and I'm their Sherpa, so I'm running the half marathon with them, carrying their gels and some water for them. So I need to be the Sherpa.
You got to make up for the slower pace that you may be going at, right? I know you'd want to bust out a bit of a sprint there, but no, you got to weigh yourself down a little bit to even the playing field.
Exactly. I may as well run. I could also try and run it with a weighted vest and see how I go.
The water is the weight. It's like an F1
Exactly.
car. As you go, the fuel gets consumed and you get lighter. It gets easier. It's just like, yeah. Exactly. It's like cutting the rocks off a hot air balloon. You just fly.
Except the only problem is the first 10 kilometers or 8 kilometers for the half marathon are pretty much uphill. So as I'm heaviest, it is uphill, and then as I'm lightest, it is downhill. So I wish it was the other way around, but
you may end up just rolling, just going down.
Exactly. But no, it's been a good week, mate. And today we are talking about commitment. I'm not saying, commitment to your partner, though, it's good to always stay committed to your partner. We're talking about commitment to your goals with your health and fitness. And we were talking about who said this quote. Tony Robbins claimed it. Might have been someone before him. But it's staying committed to your goal, but flexible in your approach. I think that's the overarching sentiment. And it's going, I think, people who achieve, they go from, if you look after your state and your story, this is what he does talk about. You're looking after your frequency, your mental state. You're a high upbeat person, mindset sorted. A story you tell yourself: I can lose weight, I can transform myself, I can achieve the results that I'm looking for. So you're looking after your state and your story. I think this is the problem which stops people getting committed. And then your strategy is flexible because you might have tried keto in the past, low carb, carnivore. You might have tried veganism. 80% of vegans come back to meat. So you might be coming back right now.
Random. Did you hear about Carnivore MD changing his name? That's, for those of you who don't know, there is a doctor. I can't remember his normal name.
Dr. Carnivore.
Dr. Carnivore MD. He wrote the Carnivore Code and all these books on carnivore, and he's now hit a point where his health has taken a turn for the worse by being on carnivore and on keto for so long. He's now come back to the fold of introducing more vegetables into his diet. And it's like, all right, well, good on you for being able to admit you're wrong when you have a platform. But maybe you should have, if you weren't 100% sure of the results, not written a book about it before that. Like, wait until you had your proof before you write a book and start telling everyone it's the best thing. But just so you know, it's not sustainable all across the board. Maybe carnivore is not the best thing for you now that your Lord and Savior has let it go.
Has left the building. But then I guess also it's like, if the diets haven't been around for a long time, is there long-term studies based on the long-term health implications of said diets? So I think it's good for us to understand that. At the end of the day, it's always good to have a wide varying diet where we're not trying to cut out any type of macronutrient or food group, not only for a health macronutrients perspective, but also for a psychological perspective with your relationship with food. But I think it's, if you understand that you have your state on point, your story on point, there is so many strategies out there. You just need to go from strategy to strategy until you find the strategy that fits in with your life and your constraints the best as a long-term strategy for success. Now, and that's really, be committed to your goal, but flexible in your approach. You might have done CrossFit, you might have run marathons, but like, are they getting you the body composition? I don't know. Are they getting you injured? Are they getting you, feeling great? Are they like, do you have time to fit them in? Maybe you've tried 10-minute abs and it didn't work. Okay, I need to do more than just crunches for 10 minutes or 7 minutes. Maybe you should have tried 6-minute abs. But when you're looking at it, it's just being flexible with your training regime, flexible with your nutrition, ideologies and beliefs, and understanding that it's as long as you're staying focused on the end goal. And then what I would say is finding some good support along the way so you don't fall prey to these fads. That is the best thing. That is commitment. It's just continuing to move forward no matter what the cost.
100%. I think too many people set goals that they think would be nice or convenient to have, and often people set goals because they think they should. But there's got to be a deep down, and we talked about this a little bit before, like a line in the sand where it's like, cool, I'm not going backwards past this line. I'm not going to regress. And part of the reason I wanted to talk about this was I had 2 clients and 2 really great examples of the difference between commitment and just dabbling when it's convenient. And this is the reason why people don't get started in health and fitness until it's too late, or until things are easy and things are convenient and things are all nicely lined up in a row and work isn't hectic and your kids aren't sick and your wife is happy with you and all of this shit. People wait for these times before they get started because, now I've got, all of the bandwidth that I would like to allocate towards my health and fitness. I've got no other pressing, things on my mind mentally. That's not how fucking adulthood works. Like, no. I remember when I was young, when I was in my early 20s, late teens, when I could just play fucking video games for 8 hours a day, and then I could just go to the gym, or I could work for, whatever time I was working for as well. It was like my weekends where I just could do whatever the hell I wanted with them. And it's like, you're never going to get that time again, unless you decide to be the divorced, non-seeing his kids' dad, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want on your weekends, but you're probably going to be sad and lonely too. But what I'm saying is your life is never going to get that much less busy, and there's never going to be other things that are not going to be pressing on your time. One of my clients, he got a great results in the first couple of weeks, first 4 or 5 weeks. And then he messaged me after just gone completely MIA. Just like, work got really busy. Stuff with the kids got really busy. But I'm really keen to jump back on at some point in the future when things ease up a little bit. And I was like, mate, look, this is really disappointing because we were getting really good results. And our goal is to help you create a plan that you can have and do throughout the busy periods, because you're going to be fucking eating anyway. I'm just going to encourage you to eat less deep fried chicken and chips and a little bit more, oven baked chicken and salad. You're still going to be the same amount of time either driving to the shops and getting it, depending on where you go. Like, you're still going to eat, you're still going to be moving. We just want to make the most out of that time. And so we can still do that in those busy periods, but people just kind of write it off as soon as other things come along. And it comes down to the fact that they weren't committed. I had a dude who started this program. Shout out to Craig. He started this program and his 2-year-old had to go to the hospital because they were like vomiting horrendously, and they had to take him into the hospital. And it was, obviously rough for having a 2-year-old, and, you spent the whole weekend up all night. He still hit his calories. He still tracked his food as best he could. He didn't get his workouts in that week. He did some walks and some like more physical movement that way. But over the last 2 weeks, he's almost, I think his first goal was 120 kilos. He smashed below that, I think, this morning. I think it's about 5 kilos down so far in the first couple of weeks. And his wife went traveling for work and she had to go away on the weekends. He was solo parenting. So all of these could have led someone at the very start of a program to go, these aren't ideal circumstances. I'm going to wait. I'm going to put it off. But Craig was committed, and he still is committed. And he started. And guess what? When a little thing comes up at work, that's not going to be a big deal for Craig to still get the result, because he already experienced fucking taking his 2-year-old to the ER and not getting any sleep and looking after him in that circumstance and just doing the best he could with what he had. And he got the result. I think a lot of people lack commitment and they don't want to commit to this journey because they worry that they have to be perfect along the way, or it has to be this really regimented to a T plan that they have to follow. Oh, I need a meal plan that tells me exactly what to eat and when to eat. It's like, you're not a fucking biohacker optimizer. You don't need this shit. And I'm sick of dads who are eating fucking meat pies, who are not even eating enough protein, who are eating over their calories, drinking most of their weekends, coming saying they need a fucking specialized meal plan and a training program that is 100% tailored to every single little thing of them. No, you need to start just doing some fucking push-ups, some squats and some sit-ups, go for a walk or a run every now and again, and start eating more protein and eating less shit food. Like, that is what you need to start with. That is what you need to commit to. You can't be asking for this real specific, like nuanced, like perfect thing before you get started. Because if that's what you're waiting for, it's never going to be perfect, and the time's never going to be perfect, and you're never going to be able to dedicate as much time as you would like to it. Like, fuck, I could be whinging and complaining right now that, depending on how my rehab goes with this lower back and getting it right, I might not be able to achieve I'm probably not going to run the Run for a Reason, which is in like a week and a half's time. I'm probably, I'll see how I go with the high rocks training as well, because for me, my ultimate commitment is to my family and to being able to be healthy for them. And if I'm training in a way that flares up my lower back and has me lying on the couch for a week while my pregnant wife has to look after our screaming 18-month-old who's going through a sassy phase at the moment, like, no, that's my commitment for me. My commitment here is get my lower back fucking bulletproof and work from the ground up in whatever regressed, humble way I have to. It means, guess what? I'm not going to be doing sick, shirtless dumbbell snatches with 30 kilos on the Instagram. To be fair, I wasn't doing them before, but I'm not doing them now either. But you've got to have the context of your goal in mind, and you've got to know that, cool, the progress isn't going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to do every single thing when you first get started, but you've got to be committed regardless of circumstance. Regardless of all of the other shit that's going on, you've got to say, no, this is the commitment that I'm making to myself and to my family to be better, right? Doesn't matter if it's perfect. It just matters that you aim to be better. That's my rant for today.
No, I agree, mate. I think it's just the constant improvement towards the end goal. And I think the end goal, one, needs to be pretty clear, and you have to visualize it a little bit without sounding, again, woo-woo. You have to understand what the end game looks like that you're working towards. And whether that be a visual representation of what your health looks like when you're the fittest, or a outcome-based approach of, at my healthiest, I'll be able to achieve A, B, C. Run this, lift that, do this. And if I can run this, lift that, do this, then I can keep up with my kids. I can pick them up and I can play with them. So you need to have some form of outcomes that you're working towards, and they have to be clear. I want to lose a little bit of weight. It's like, well, go take a shit and you've lost some weight. Okay, great. Like,
probably a lot of weight.
A lot of weight. So it's like, if you look at it, your goals have to be specific, and you need to go, well, I need to lose 15 kilos, right? So we're looking at the whole SMART goal type of thing, and you want to be somewhat measurable when we're looking at it as well. So it's like, I want to lose, 15 kilos in the next 20 weeks. Okay, great. We're looking at 0.75 kilos a week. That's definitely achievable. And, is that attainable? Yes. Perfect. Is it realistic? Yes. And then we've got a time frame against it. So we've got everything that we have to achieve our goal. And now we need to make a bright line contract and commitment to ourselves to achieve it. That doesn't mean you're going to get punched in the face. We didn't say we're going to lose 2 kilos a week for 20 weeks or anything like that. So it wasn't anything crazy, but 0.5 kilos a week for 20 weeks, that it's probably going to be 3 weeks in there you don't lose anything. It's probably going to be 3 weeks in there that you lose 1.5. But this is purely because of the fact, because shit happens over a 20-week journey or a 26-week journey. That 4 weeks of the year, you're just going to have shit weeks. But if we look at all those weeks added up, you had 4 shit weeks out of 52. That means 48 weeks went pretty good. And it's having the commitment to the end goal and understanding there'll be road bumps along the way and not giving up. Oh, I've got to pause my health and fitness for the next, 2 months. It's like, mate, you don't pause your health and fitness for the next 2 months. Like, it is a constant thing. You know, if you can't train, then we focus on your nutrition more. We focus on your steps. If your nutrition's not completely inside your control, then we focus on your training, and then we focus on what you can control inside your nutrition. You know, we talked about this last week on the podcast. One of my clients was traveling. So it's like, okay, I know they're giving you food, but this is the options out of the food they're giving you that I would go towards. So it might not be perfect, but we don't look for perfection. We look for, you know, what we look for? We look for essentially doing the best we can with what we got. That's what we look for. The reality is that
we look for the lowest hanging fruit that will get us the result. We look for the easiest and the simplest options that still give us the result, because optimal is not always going to be an option. The same thing if I've had guys who have gone to conferences and guys that do FIFO. There was a guy who DM'd us on Instagram, I think, to do an episode around FIFO and around, you know, making the most of those options and how do you handle sort of the week on, week off, or just different swings as well, which might be a topic we cover a bit later on in the weeks. But it's like you've got the same circumstances as everyone else. The thing you can control is your portion size, right? He was like, all right, oh, I really like sandwiches. Like I kind of go too overboard on them sometimes. I'm like, all right, well, have one sandwich, like one chicken salad sandwich, and take a protein shake. And then have your protein shake be like your finisher for the meal. So you kind of wash down the taste of the chicken sandwich. So you're not like, oh, I want that flavor again. You just go, boom, done. There's always ways to do it. Fucking go on Uber Eats and order a Subway salad, right? Or a Nando salad or something, or just, you know, bring some stuff with you. Like, there's always options if you're willing to look for them. And if you're willing to ask the right people who have come up with solutions that you might not have ever thought of before. Like, oh shit, I didn't think of like prepping some overnight oats and taking that with me. Like, yeah, that's easy. People think about that. I tell guys for lunches all the time. Oh, I don't have a microwave with me when I go out for work. I'm always on the road. I'm like, take a little thing of overnight oats with you in a little container and just have oats for lunch with protein powder. Like, oh, I never thought of that. It's like, well, yeah, you've got to look outside of yourself for some of these ideas and be willing to go, rather than say, oh, there's no way I can make it work. We talk about asking better questions. How can I make it work?
Most definitely, mate. I think, you know, in saying that, you need to, if you have a goal and you understand like what the outcome you want to achieve, you can write a contract with yourself and you sign it and get your partner to sign it with you. So you have a witness that you're signing this agreement to yourself. Put it on the fridge. Say like, I'm committing to A, B, and C, right? And even if you need to put some if, when, then scenarios up there, you can't always foresee the obstacles coming, you know, in front of you, but you can foresee 95% of them. You know, the possible obstacles. I commit to training 3 times a week. I commit to doing an average of 8,000 steps a day across 7 days. I commit to, you know, not eating chocolate for the next 90 days, right? Maybe that's your, like, so you might not be committing to hitting your exact macro breakdown, but you can probably commit to not having the shit that's holding you back. Maybe I was talking to one of the boys yesterday, he was having like 6 to 8 beers a day and 8 to 10 on the weekends. I was like, dude, like, I was like, man, like that's over $200 a week in beer you're having right there. But it's also over 8,000 calories a week in beer. So, you know, if we look at this, you know, let's commit to decreasing that. Let's go down to 3, right? You're going to start losing more than half a kilo a week just by committing to this for the next 30 days. And, you know, we made an agreement also. It's like, you're not allowed to have a beer until you've worked out. And you work out, you know, minimum 20 minutes. So you jump on the treadmill, you go for a walk, you do body weight stuff, you do dumbbell stuff, but you have to work out. If you want to have a beer, you got to have a workout first, right? So all of a sudden we've made it a secondary option, because if he has to work out first, it cuts down his beer drinking time. 2, he knows that he's going to start training every day. 3, we put a bright line rule in place. I'm not going to take someone from 8 beers a day to 0 because that's going to like not be good. All right. Like it's too
drastic of a change.
Too drastic a change, right? I'm not taking someone from 3,000 steps to 13,000 either. So, but we can take it down where you can still enjoy the thing that you enjoy, but not to the excess that you're having it. I can take someone who's having a block of chocolate a day, though, down to 0, because, you know, there's, we can replace it with something better. But one is going to chemically change you that you're actually addicted to a bit more. And there's so many other environments. It's like he's not sitting in the bathroom having a beer, sitting on the toilet, hiding his beer addiction. He's like people do with their chocolate. But, you know, we made these made a contract for the next 30 days at least, as he's trying to wean down because he openly wants to lose weight. And we're like, okay, well, this is your kryptonite. This is one and this is the other. So we made a contract together that he was going to do these two things over the next 30 days to make sure he stays focused and can achieve the goals he's after. So you can write a contract and sign it. And I think a contract is only as good as your word. And it's the integrity you hold with yourself. Now, so often, we have integrity when we're doing things for other people. Okay. So, Jace might ask me to do something and I'll be like, yep, for sure, I'm done it. And I'll do it because I'm doing it for Jace. Okay. Or say if Jace said, like, I'll meet you at the gym at 5 a.m., I get there at 5 a.m. because of the fact that I'm going there to meet Jace at the gym. I don't want to let Jace down. Now, if I tell myself I'm going to the gym at 5 a.m. and there's no one to let down but me, sometimes I press snooze. Sometimes I don't go. Like, that's the thought pattern that people go through. So we are so much more committed to other people than ourselves. And that's a problem. We need to have the integrity with ourselves that we would have with others. We need to, if we say we're going to do something, we don't press snooze, we get up and do it. If we say we're not going to have more than 3 beers, we don't. If we say we're not going to have chocolate for the next 30 days, then we don't even have it in the house. We stay away from the chocolate. It's like you need to do what you said you're going to do. Because as we continue to follow through with our word, our self-respect and self-integrity increases. And that essentially is our self-belief and our self-confidence that, yes, we can do this. And the higher your self-belief, the higher your motivation goes. Right? If you constantly say you're going to do something and you don't do it, well, all of a sudden that's self-doubt increases and you have a lack of integrity with yourself. And then when your self-doubt increases, you start to say, can I do this? Do I want to do this? Why do I want to do this? And we start to look for justifying reasons what's the scapegoat for me to get out of this weight loss journey this time. So commitment is only as good as your word. And I think that is a big thing we all have to understand.
Yeah, and you've, as Trav said, you've got to give yourself evidence of you keeping your word. And a lot of people don't keep their word to themselves because they often don't feel like, and this is something that from the more woo-woo side of things, for me, I'm working on with my back at the moment is understanding, all right, well, if I want to heal my back, I've got to dedicate the amount of time to it that's necessary. And I've got to make that commitment and I've got to regress a little bit. And I've got to do things like make time for my stretches. Whereas it's easy when I get into the office to just kind of get into work mode and start replying to emails and start checking in on clients and doing stuff. It's easy to get into that flow without going, hang on, I know it's not productive. I know it might not be, it might feel like I'm taking time away from my family, not helping my wife out with our daughter. And if she's having a hard time, it's easier to then go straight out of my office and go straight into parenting. It's easier to do those things because then I feel like I'm helping someone else out and I'm doing something for someone else. And that feels like it's more important than the little stretches I was going to do or whatever. But it's got to be something that you start to prioritize yourself and you start to respect your own word and you start to want to do things for yourself, because there are a lot of dads out there who do this kind of misguidedly, but they do it for a lot of times they do it for other people. They don't value themselves as much as they should. They don't value their own health as highly and as importantly as they need to. And whether it's because you just get caught up in life and parenting and working and all of those things obviously have very important parts to them, or you've got a partner who's maybe not as supportive because they're more focused on the short term. It's like, well, hey, I need help with parenting. You're not going to go off to the gym while I parent. You're not going to go off for a run while I'm, cooking dinner and trying to manage the house or whatever. Like, you've got to have that conversation with any of those partners who may not be as supportive and let them know. And you've got to have a conversation with yourself and say, look, I am worth taking care of. Right now, I am not healthy. I am not in an ideal place. I'm not in the place from physically that I would like to be for my health, for my family, for my longevity. I need to make this change. And that's kind of the honest conversation you've got to have with yourself in the mirror as well. But you've got to pull yourself up on your past behaviors, but also go, cool, this is a line in the sand, but I'm making the commitment to me to be different because I need to be different. And I'm worthy of the attention and the time and the money and the investment in myself. Like the amount of guys I've spoken to who have thought about coming on board and they're like, oh yeah, I'm ready to come on board and get fit and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, I talked to the wife and we can't afford it. It's like, well, your wife is looking at this. If you haven't, first of all, if you haven't got your finger on top of your finances, just, check your bank account first. But the second thing to think about is, well, if you're just saying, hey, this is a linear decision, can I pay, $50, $80, $100, whatever, for a program to start and to get fit? That's very different than, hey, I need to make an investment in myself to change my life, to change my health, to change the trajectory of my life for my kids and for my family. That's a very different conversation. But you've got to, like a lot of guys kind of, as Trav said, they look for that little weasel out excuse to not have to commit to themselves and not, at the end of the day, not do the hard shit and not do the stuff that is a bit more confronting. But also you've got to understand that you're worth taking care of and you're worth giving energy and time and money to make this change and to get this result. Because if you don't do it now, it's going to get a lot more fucking expensive from a time and money perspective later on down the line.
Exactly, mate. And I think, again, as you mentioned, it is an investment in your health to be here, for a longer time, which, you can't really put money on that, but two, for a more enjoyable time, to be able to play with your kids, to be able to play with your grandkids, to be able to do the things you want to do rather than sitting in the corner watching the world go by. You want to be on the playing field, playing the sport, not in the grandstands, watching it happen. And yeah, you can enjoy sometimes, watching from the sideline, but it's not as enjoyable watching from the sideline than being out there with your kids running around. Like, that's the real magic happens then. So I think it's looking at the investments, looking why the investment is crucial. And also, say you do invest in a program and you're like, oh, I know finance is a bit tight, but then you have to look at it and then you have to justify on the way why you should do it. Well, I currently spend about $70, $80, $90 a week on beer and chocolate, or beer and burgers, or beer and dare iced coffees, and go, well, if I stop doing that, can I afford this? And is this inside our same budget? Because I'm going to stop eating the things or doing the things that's actually taking me away from the best version of me. And if I already have the money I'm spending it taking me away from the best version of me, can I then redirect the money that I do have and put it as an investment into the best version of me? So then next year, I'm 20, 30 kilos lighter. I feel fantastic. I'm more confident. And we know that if you're lighter and you're more confident, you're probably going to get a salary raise as well, because that's just how it is. People who are healthy, they tend to, and this is not me saying it, this is not me saying the woo-woo stuff or making anything up. People who are healthy, confident, and look after themselves make more money. It's just the truth. So, you just have to go, well, this is an investment in me and my future of my family as well, to be the best version of me. So I think we need to put fail safes in place as well. So, you want to have someone you're reporting to each week with your commitment and your goals, and that you're on the right trajectory towards your goals. And if you're doing it weekly, that means, if you fall off track for a week, you have someone that's going to step in there and just slap you around a little bit and get you back online. It's like, hey man, because we know that sometimes, if we start to waver on our commitment, the longer we let us go before a check-in, the more we waver, the worse it gets. So if we have a 7-day check-in with someone, that means, or a 14-day check-in with someone, there is just enough time to, if we do go off track, we're whipped straight back on track and refocused on the goal at hand. If we have that, we have a reminder of why we're doing this and what we're doing this for. I think that's the biggest thing that we need, because it's like, okay, yep, we're back on track. Okay, yep, we're back on track. And I think the next thing, and one big thing that a lot of us need to do, is we need to whoop our goals. So, so the obstacles don't come out of, left field. It's like a whoop is, it's an acronym that stands for Wish Outcome Obstacle Plan. So what's the wish? Well, the wish is I want to be 85 kilos by September 1st, right? That could be your wish. Okay, what's the outcomes that I need to achieve for this wish? And this could be a part of your bright long commitment with your contract that you're writing. Well, the outcomes to achieve this, I know that if I'm training 3 times a week and I'm walking 8,000 steps a day and I'm tracking my nutrition, 90% of the time, that's the outcomes I need to adhere to. And okay, what's the obstacles that could hold me back from achieving these outcomes? Obstacles. Well, I'm a FIFO worker. Okay. So I need to be educated or increase my skill level on how to track, to stay within my calories whilst I'm away. Okay. On site. I say, okay, well, that's an obstacle. I need to have a training plan when I'm on site, because maybe you don't have a fully fledged gym. But reality is most of the FIFO workers have better gyms than they do back home. Maybe that's an outcome, that's an obstacle, or maybe your obstacle is you're not a FIFO worker and you just have dumbbells. Okay, an obstacle could be progressing forward with your thing. It's like, okay, well, an obstacle with that is within 8 weeks I need to buy a adjustable bench, and so your future looking at these obstacles so you can keep progressing with your workouts. An obstacle will be what happens when I get sick. Okay. So we look at the outcomes and then we look at the obstacles that will stop us from achieving this outcome. And the last one is a plan. So you create this plan to overcome the obstacles. So you're looking down the track. It's like, what can hold me off from getting those outcomes I want? These are the possible obstacles. These are the plans to overcome the obstacles. And then you go like, okay, fantastic. I've whooped my goals. I've looked at the 3 or 4 main obstacles that will hold me back. And I've made a plan for those. So when they do arise, if they do arise, I know exactly how to handle them so they don't stop me in my tracks, derail my commitment, and set me back to the starting posts. So I have to start this whole process again. And I think whooping your goals is such a crucial aspect to staying focused and committed to your long-term success, because you know that obstacles are going to happen. You know that, as Jason will always say, randomness is something that is inevitable to happen. It always will happen. But if you can plan for randomness as best as you can, then you can still push forward without it stopping you and, just making excuses as to why you couldn't do it. Now, the biggest overarching thing is just to always do what you said you would do. I think that is the overarching statement for commitment.
Yeah, do what you said you could do to the best of your ability. Like I said, I was going to do high rocks. That is that's still a goal, depending on how my rehab with this goes and my consistency with this goes. And that's still something I want to aim towards. And even if I don't do high rocks, I'll probably do my own friggin' version of it at the gym just to say that I could do it. It might not be at an official event, but it'll still be something that I do. I'm not going to do the 12Ks at the run for a reason, but I might do City to Surf, or I might do another 12Ks and just time it for, sometime later on. These are all pivots, but it's not me completely giving up on every single thing that I've done and every single thing that I said that I'm going to do as well. So you've got to make a commitment, and even with I kind of relate to it a lot with my personal journey at the moment. Knowing that there might be some setbacks and there might be some obstacles from a lower back rehab perspective, and knowing, hey, if it does happen, and I was actually, because I joined a group with some guys who are like sort of lower back specific specialists and learning a lot of really cool stuff about it as well. And one of the things was like, a flare up or it feels like a regression or the pain increasing again. It's not you going back to square one. It's just a sign that wherever you've adapted up to, you've gone a little bit too far. And it's like, okay, cool. Now I ratchet it back a little bit and then I progress. So even setbacks and obstacles, they're not the back to square one that you think they are. And a lot of people think that, right? I've lost 10 kilos and then I had one binge weekend. Now I feel like I've gone back to square one. No, you fucking haven't. You've barely gained anything, right? You've not even scratched the surface on regaining that weight. It's just a speed bump. It's a mental thing to understand. Okay, cool. This is going to happen. It happens to everyone. Everyone has their shit days. Everyone has their down days. Everyone falls off the wagon every now and again. It was kind of comforting to me because my wife told me a bit about her. She recovered from autoimmune disorder, right? Where she was unable to walk. Her knees were so swollen, her ankles were so swollen, she couldn't walk. She was like bedridden for months. And she's like, I had hiccups along that journey and I had setbacks and I hit points and then I went back a little bit and I was fine for a bit and then I came back and I had a flare up. It's like, it continues, but it's like you're always moving forward and those things will happen. You will have times, even if the times are for a couple of weeks where you fall off a bit, as long as Trav's saying, you're reminded of your goal and your overall commitment. It's like, no, I will not stop from a big picture perspective. I will not stop until I'm at this goal. Nothing's going to stop you then because you're committed, because you're truly sort of deep in your soul committed. And this is something that I need a lot of you guys to really say with gusto, because I talk to too many dads who are fucking wishy-washy about their goals. They're like, I want to lose some weight. Yeah, I want to get fit, form a family. It's like, no, there's no fucking fire and passion in your voice. There's no, desire. And a lot of times you don't have that desire because you don't think you can actually make it happen. Because you don't trust yourself to stick to your word, or because you don't think the plan will work, or because you've tried it before and you've lost it before. But it's like, it doesn't matter as long as you have that. It starts with that mindset of that commitment. It starts with that line in the sand going, nah, fuck this. this is not the way that I'm living my life. And this is kind of me saying this for myself as well as for all of you guys here. Like, this is not the way that I'm living my life, having to fucking hobble around. My daughter comes up to me and says, "Daddy, cuddle," and I can't cuddle her and I can't pick her up. Like, that's not the way I'm fucking living my life ever again. And you can hear it in my voice. There's commitment in there. You guys need to talk with this same level of commitment when you talk about losing this weight, when you talk about like getting fit and staying fit for your family. I'm never going to be the dad that gets puffed out first. I'm never going to be the dad that can't run around after his kids after 5 minutes, right? That is not who the fuck I am. I'm never going to be the dad who shamefully looks down in his belly and I can't see my dick because I've got my stomach in the way and I've got Domino's drippings all over my shirt. That's not who I'm going to be. Like, you've got, like, I think we started this, it's like, it starts with state. You've got to start with your state, your emotional state, and you've got to have a fire under your ass to, number one, get away from the shithole that you're in, and number two, work towards the amazing goal, the amazing feeling of being the dad that you want to be. That you've got to have both of those, one to push you, one to pull you. If you have both of those, nothing's going to stop you, but you've just got to start by being committed.
And we use aggressive terminology on purpose with this, guys. So some of you are like, "Oh, I'm not a fat piece of shit." I was like, well, I'm not saying you that either. But if we use aggressive and stronger language around it, and we're more honest with ourselves, and sometimes, you know, like get a little bit more aggressive, it's like, fuck, man, like I'm fat and I'm not the best version of me. And like, I feel like a piece of shit. Okay. Like, as far as like, I can't do anything that I want to do. You know, if my kid said, "Let's go run 3Ks," if you've got someone who's, you know, 6 or older, you're like, yeah, like I cannot do it. The furthest I've run is to the fridge in the last year. Like if you get stronger with your wording, then it will actually, for a lot of people, not everyone, it will push you forward. And if you're looking for, as far as coaches go, if you're looking for someone to like coddle you and swaddle you and like pat you on the bum and caress you into your health journey, that's really not us. And it's definitely not me.
I can be a little bit more sensitive than Trav at the best of times. But even so, but yeah, there's a power in the language that you use.
Exactly. And, you know, it's just for anyone listening out there who don't know us, we do it out of a place of love, not out of a place of looking down at anyone, right? I don't look down at anyone. Don't care what your weight is. I don't care where you are, because I know that I can get you there, right? But unless you're actually live in the real world, and the reality is like, man, like I'm 120 kilos. I should be 75 kilos for, I don't know, someone who's 5'7" or something like that. It's like, dude, yeah, man, like you're fat as shit right now. Like you're just fat. And unless you fucking, oh, I'm a little bit big, but you're not fucking big boned, mate. Right? Unless you actually get real with yourself, then you aren't having a raw conversation with the reality that you're living in. You're not on a good trajectory. And if you don't do something about it, you're probably going to die early. You're not going to be the best dad that you can be for your kids. You're not going to be a great role model for your kids with their health and fitness, because they'll follow in your footsteps. And do you want them to follow in your footsteps? And that's actually a question you have to ask. Oh, but I've got a great job. Yeah, fantastic that you have a great job. But do you want them having low energy? Do you want them being self-conscious? Do you want them feeling like they have no energy day to day? Because if that's how you feel, then you are the role model to them and they will follow in your footsteps. So you're doing this not just for you, but for your children. And that's why I love coaching dads, because I get to not just change a man, I get to change a family when he changes his health. I get to change the future generations because you stop the cycle, right? And I think that's a big thing. So if you actually get real and raw and live in the real world and go, you know, yeah, this is not good enough. And if we start to talk with strong language, it's like, no, this is not good enough. And this is, I do not and will not be like this ever again. And it's like, get powerful that's how we, you know, when we're changing our state, like I'm getting fired up because it's like, you know, if we get strong about this, then we're like, yeah, I can do this. And this is fucking unacceptable. And then we can move forward and I will never be here again. And I think that's the kind of language you do need to talk with. And no matter what, I don't care if I have 75 step backs, I'm going to keep moving forward no matter what. And I'm going to find someone, a group of people that fucking help pull me there. I think that is so important. And then if you are someone that if we talked about state, if you are someone that, has that sort of negative stories like, I can't lose weight, like, why does this always happen to me? You have this external locus of control, right? Like the world's happening to you. You aren't in control of, I can't work out because I work so long and I have kids. So, everyone who listens to this podcast has kids, mate. I'm pretty sure they do.
That's the point. That's in the name.
It's the whole point. It's the whole point. So it's like your circumstances aren't different. And there's people out there, just like you with similar constraints, except they're getting it done. So instead of saying you can't get it done, you have to go, well, what are the people that are getting it done? What are they doing? And they have the same constraints as me. So how are they getting it done and I'm not? And if they can get it done, well, so can I. So then you start to change your story because you can see pathways and modeling of success. It's like, if they can do it, I can do it too. Change of story. I can lose weight. I just haven't found the right method yet. And I can follow a nutrition plan. I've just been fucking following fad diets and quick fixes. So I need to find a long-term sustainable plan. I think that is the big thing. It's because if we change our state, we change our story, then we can just keep executing day in and day out. I think that is a big thing for us around motivation as well. Because when we're wishy-washy with our commitment levels, we're wishy-washy with our motivation. And if our motivation, when we're relying on motivation to work out or follow our nutrition plan, then our commitment's going to be all over the shop. So fuck your motivation. And all you have to do is just do it no matter how you feel, right? I'm not saying with injuries, do it no matter how you feel, but it's do what you can, okay? No matter what. So if you're injured, do what you can. And maybe it's nothing for the next 7 days. But you know what you can do? Not stuff your face with cakes. Right? That's what you can do. Like I can't lift at the moment. What you can do, you can walk. Oh, I don't have dumbbells at the moment. What you can do is do squats and push-ups and sit-ups. Okay? Like there's always a level that you can do. Okay? No matter what the circumstance. So it's finding what you can do and doing that to the best of your ability to continue to move towards your goals no matter what. And guys, to be honest,
do some body weight Bulgarian split squats. That will humble you.
Yeah, man. Exactly. And that is the commitment podcast. And I'm going to just draw that line right there because guys, you find your commitment and then you do what you can with what you got until you've got it done. Right. And that's it. Right. That's commitment. And that's commitment. That's it. It's going to be obstacles. They're fucking inevitable, but you fucking run through them like a wall, like a brick wall. You've got so much motivation and momentum, you just smash through them. It may slow you down. Running through a brick wall is tough, right? But you find a way. You might find a way. Just find a way, guys. Find the weak spot. But that is it for today, guys. If you need help with getting from where you are to where you want to be, go to fit-dad.club, book in a call. We can talk about your specific constraints and what's holding you back and how we can help you get there. So that's fit-dad.club. You can leave a review. You can write anything on the post, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this. Rate us, review us, comment something. If you want something else, what podcast you want, just like we do a FIFO one in the next couple of weeks, let us know and you'll riff about that. But that is today on commitment, and we will talk to you next week, guys. Jace, you got any last words?
No, just keep going, fellas. I will keep going. Hold me accountable to getting my journey done and getting back to proper movement. I'll hold you accountable to losing your kgs. We'll do it together.
Awesome, guys. Talk to you next week. Have a great weekend.